and welcome to this special episode of Star Stories in Life, where we talk about
Star Stories in Life.
Exactly. So today we're going to be talking about the documentary 13th, While We Eat Foods. So
Yes, I don't know if you can see my pizza. I already ate a little bit because I'm a cheater.
that's
And
okay. I did the same thing.
and I have this because it's going to be a drunk review. I already had a bottle of this.
All right.
And there's going to be a little bit of cake, I think. Let me see.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I'm ready.
That's the only thing I didn't get. I didn't get dessert. So I have some green mole.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It has just broccoli and corn. That's all that's in there. And then we have some lau mein from a Chinese food
That looks
place.
amazing.
I've been picking at it, so it's.
I haven't seen my. This is chocolate that I got. Let me see how it looks.
And then for drinking, I just have half of a de volada.
What is that? Is it a matcha?
It's matcha, yeah. I'm a basic beach. What can I say?
Let me see the cake.
Let's see the cake.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah, nice.
Right?
Nice chocolate cake.
Yes. It's from Café de la Flor.
Ooh,
No,
yeah,
it's
they
from
have good
Jiffy's.
cake.
Sorry, it's from
Oh.
Jiffy's. It's very close to each other, so I always confuse.
Yeah, they are. That's true.
Okay.
All right. So, should we start by reading the film summary of the...
Yeah, you do it?
Yeah, I'll do it. So, the film summary, we're reading the film summary that's in the 13th discussion guide that was released by influencefilmclub.com. So, it says, in the years prior to the release of 13th, with the help of the Black Lives Matter movement, social media, there was a significant rise in awareness around the amount of prejudice African Americans continue to face in the 21st century. The historical roots of this oppression run deep, as Ava DuVernay's, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, documentary 13th reveals. The film looks back at the ratification of the Amendment 13, which states that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction.
That exception is the money line.
Exactly. Duvernay argues that a prison industrial complex which statistically imprisons black men disproportionately and allows for their disciplinary servitude has taken advantage of America's black population and brings into question if its system is and ultimately acts as a form of modern-day slavery. Featuring a wide range of interviewees, including civil rights activist Angela Davis, the new Jim Crow author Michelle Alexander, regular New Yorker reporter and Professor Jelani Cobb, social justice author and attorney Van Jones, and many more. 13th moves from the media-induced criminalization of black persons to the cooperative privatization of prisons with allowance, poise, and cavalcade of statistics to back up its thesis in the dehumanization of black people in America. While sobering in its historical recontextualization, long word, of race in America, DuVernay's film remains hopeful in acknowledging her fellow African Americans' diligence and grace in their fight for equality under intolerable conditions. No one knows how bright or dark the future of America will be, but as Jones vigilantly states, it will be.
So I watched the documentary.
Yeah, I saw it on your
Social media.
stories.
Yeah. So I watched it, took a lot of notes. The academic side apart,
Mm-hmm.
it was very hard to watch.
It was. It was.
It was a very hard um, thing to watch. It was emotionally very captivating, very I wouldn't say shocking. It's just like it's a debilitating feeling,
Yes.
you know? And oh, I like my heart sank so many times watching that documentary. Like I just want to like get that out. It's unbelievable that we still live in a society where a community of people is not considered human enough. And this is like, so what I'm going to do, or like both of us are going to do, is we are going to go kind of like point by point, probably chronologically, um, talking about like really important parts of the documentary that stood out for us and how we see that, how we perceive it, and what changes we think are coming, in the future, um, considering the current status of the world. So I want to start with this line. This is something that they also started with. Slavery was an economic system.
Yes.
And I was like, bam, that's it. Like I knew the moment they said that, I was like, they are looking at this whole thing from the right perspective, from a working perspective that will actually enlighten all the other darker hidden parts of this aspect, right? Because when the 13th Amendment was made, as you read, slavery was abolished except as a punishment, right, for crime. And as they said that once the civil rights movement started, there was a rise in crime rates. And people started associating that, oh, we freed the Black people. So there you go. They are the ones creating all this ruckus and chaos in society.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to, and it was not only just society and, and politics, it was also art. So a lot of movies back at that time portrayed the male Negro evil.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, this movie Birth of a Nation, when it came out, it was very popular, and it showed the African American man in that kind of light, like this scary, dangerous beast that has been unleashed into society, right? And that's how like the baby boomers came, and in the 1970s there was like the era of mass incarceration started, right? And so coming back to the line, slavery was an economic system. This is something that a lot of philosophers, sociologists, economists, thinkers, let's say, they putting them all together in a box, have been saying that this, like when we get caught up in identities, like Black, white, brown, Indian, Latino, like we sometimes, it's my perspective, of course, this is my observation, we sometimes miss the mark of talking about class struggle.
Yeah.
We sometimes miss the mark of talking about that historically slavery has always been associated with Blackness. And in a way, when slavery was abolished, so then then poverty, poor people, lower class, again became associated with Blackness. So it's kind of interrelated, right? How I see it. It's not just hatred for Blackness, it's this constant propaganda against poor people. And in the same way against Black people, right? They are the ones who are supposed to do all this free labor, because that's how white supremacists look at them, right? They're means to an end. They are not humans themselves who have their own dreams and aspirations and the right to live with dignity. So this is like a very interesting to me, like how this overlaps. There is this intersectionality of Blackness and poverty, but we always miss that. We are always, I don't know, I don't see that in conversations. We are not talking about class struggles. We are not talking about the big bad villain, which is clearly the elites, also proved by this documentary. The elites, the big corporations. We are still not talking about that. We are still getting caught up in identities, at least when it comes to American politics. What do you think?
I feel the same. Like, I went and I watched the supplementary interview that they had on Netflix, and it was a lot about, they talked a lot about that the reason so many people are incarcerated is because they cannot afford to get out, right? Because rich people, all they do is they pay for bail and that's it. Because they aren't in jail, they're not guilty. Like, that's what we have been conditioned to think in society. But it's like, it's not true. So many people who are currently incarcerated are probably not guilty. More than likely they're not guilty, or they're guilty of something that is just unnecessary to be like punished for that long for. Mm-hmm. And probably when the documentary started, the line that hit me probably first and the hardest was when they were saying the United States has 5% of the world population, like in total, but 25% of the world's incarcerated people. And I'm like, that's 1/4 of the world's incarcerated people are in the United States.
And on top of that, 1 out of 3 Black men will probably spend some time in prison, whereas 1 out of 17 white men would probably spend some time in prison.
Exactly.
Come on, like, I hope the argument is not like, oh, because Black people are beasts. But what I think is that that's exactly what they want to say. That's exactly where they want to hint. Like, oh, see, I mean, look at the statistics. Like, I mean, the system is perfect. Like, if Black people are getting arrested, then something is wrong with the Black people. Exactly. That's exactly the propaganda that they want you to consume. Mm-hmm. What really pushes me to a corner or makes me feel kind of hopeless is that not everybody can see this.
No.
But then why?
Because they don't let you. Have you noticed, like, related but not like exactly a topic, that on Facebook they're saying that so many idiotic and damaging laws are being passed while all of the protests and stuff is happening?
Yeah.
Like, how?
Like, they recently they were able to, so the system in the there was a rule before where if somebody was getting deported, before they were deported, they had the right to come to trial in a court before a judge. Yeah. Right? Have their case. Now, deportation has been fast-tracked in the U.S. And it has been mandated by the Supreme Court. It has been approved by the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not mandated, approved by the Supreme Court. So this is what they're doing. Like, not only that, after the George Floyd incident blew up and there were riots on the street, this is not the first time that there have been riots on the streets because of a police brutality incident. And then what do they do? Nothing. because
Nothing changes. We
it's
just give
like you're
up.
repeating history again and again and again and again. And I mean, apart from the fact that our government, I mean, we have not been electing good people in government, or there are not good people in the government. I mean, when I say good and bad, I mean, I don't want to like label people as good and bad. I'm just talking about the archetype, right? So when you come, this is something that I was recently talking about with my boyfriend too. Like, you are you chose to be in public service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether as a politician or a bureaucrat, and then you act otherwise, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, why would you, like, morally, why would you be here? And then there are economic reasons, right? Oh, this is easy money, power, blah blah blah, right? Stability, retirement, this and that. These are all economic reasons, which are great. Like public officials being supported for the work that they have done makes sense, right? In a perfect world, in a picture perfect world, yes, right? You want a good public official to live the rest of their lives, in peace and stability. But then when that becomes the main reason you come to public service, when you're a big ass fucking psychopath or a sociopath, it's so dangerous. And we keep electing them.
Yeah.
Keep electing the psychopaths into government. And then we're like, oh, what happened? I don't know what happened. Like, oh, the government just sucks. Like, I feel like we're stuck in this vicious cycle of like electing these assholes in the government, but then the system produces it, and then we vote them again. It's just like, how do I get out? You're stuck. And that's why we need protests. That's why we need, I mean, honestly, riots. I mean, I'm not going to shy away from saying that. Because when you oppress ordinary people every day of their lives, economically, physically, mentally, psychologically, especially economically, I have to, say that again. What other agency of power do they have? When they want to be heard, when they want to be treated as human beings, what other agency do they have other than violence? When the government freely uses violence on ordinary people, unarmed public, then it's justified. But when people go to peaceful protests unarmed, then they are terrorists.
Yeah. Yeah. And can we talk about something that I've noticed, and I've been like, why is this a thing? How people who are defending themselves and yes, rioting are being called terrorists, but they've never called the KKK terrorists. Never.
No, it was
Never
a
in all the
organization,
history.
right?
Huh?
It was a legit organization.
Yeah.
Like, I think you got tax breaks or something like that.
It's like a church.
Yeah.
Like how?
And it's like that. Like, so, Black people were forcefully brought in the Americas, right?
Yeah.
Then they got rid of slavery. But after slavery, then there was Jim Crow laws. Well, when Jim Crow laws were taken out, it was through the civil rights movement. So after that, it was police brutality. Like, the system cannot give Black people and people of color a fucking break.
No.
It's one after the other. Like, they try to change something and like, oh, I have found a loophole. Here you go. This is the way I'm going to fuck you in the ass now. Sometimes literally.
Yeah.
Sometimes literally. And this police brutality is not an American thing. It's world fucking wide. Palestinians are constantly getting harassed, murdered, tortured, raped by the police, probably on a daily basis. I hear news coming from there almost every fucking day of some kind of torture. Of children. Yeah. Of children. Children are terrorists now? Then, today, another news came out from India, from this South Indian state called Tamil Nadu, where two men, okay, from that state, lower middle class family, right? They had a little mobile shop, right?
Yeah.
And because of COVID-19 or whatever, I think there's some kind of like curfew or something like that. I'm not sure. So they had kept their shop open for extra 5 minutes than the allotted time or the, you know, sorry, I got distracted by a bug. So the allotted time, and the police took the man and his son to the jail, turned off the CCTV cameras, and raped them violently for
How
three
is that?
days. They raped them and they beat them to pulp for 3 days. You, the part that really like gave me the heebie-jeebies was, so they were, because they were beaten to a pulp and were raped. So they were bleeding, right? Internally, externally. So they
Yeah.
were like in blood-soaked clothes. The police, shameless, this is Indian police.
Mm-hmm.
They took off their clothes, sent it to their family, asked them for new clothes. Then it was blood-soaked again because they again beat them to death. I mean, to pulp. Again sent those blood-soaked clothes, asked for fresh ones, and they did this 3 times. And then they died.
Obviously.
And they were like, oh, they died of heart failure and fever. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But that was the
that's
reason
exactly what it was.
like, that, I'm sure, I mean, that's the reason, I mean, come on. And you know what happened after that? Nothing for several days. And then the police who were raping and beating them were suspended. That's it. No jail time, nothing charged, no criminal charges, no bringing them to court. For what? Because they kept their shop open for 5 extra minutes. Because that is the biggest crime of the world. That's why they deserve to be raped and beaten for 3 straight days until they couldn't take it anymore. The police, that's what they do. Like, it's everywhere. It's India. In Tijuana, what happened a couple of weeks ago? This a guy was beaten to death for what reason, nobody knows.
Yeah, just cause.
And there was like no outcry, no outrage. So it's everywhere. Like the police, I don't know, they're this big deranged community. That's what they've become.
They have.
Why?
Like, it's because horrible people go to become police because they want that authority. Like, I have heard
They want the power trip, you're saying.
on a couple of podcasts, a guy who he knew this guy at school who was a bully, and then he got in trouble and got expelled from school. And he was saying that when he grows up, he's going to become a cop so that he can get back at everyone who got him in trouble. And he did. He's a cop now.
Yeah, you're right. This is a very interesting point that you brought up, is that I don't really want to generalize, all policemen like that, but I'm not talking about individual policemen here, right? Policemen, women. I'm talking about the culture of police. I'm talking about the system of police. What is their purpose? Let's go back to the basics, right? What is the purpose of police in our society? Let's say ideally.
Ideally, okay. They're the ones who go out, stop the bad guys from doing the thing, and take them to jail where the court decides if
what happens to them, right?
If the thing was actually something that the person was doing or whatever, right?
So now who decides who the bad guys are?
That's a good question.
People
Whoever
in
made the
power.
call, I guess.
Exactly, people in power.
Mochi, I dropped broccoli.
And who are the people in power?
Mochi, go. White
You,
people.
I was saying, who are the people in power?
People with money.
Exactly. Because a lot of people would say, oh, the politicians, our president, our senators, ministers.
Mm-mm.
No. Yes, apparently, right?
Whoever has the money.
So let's talk about ALEC.
Oh, yeah, that.
What is the full form of ALEC?
American Legislative Exchange Council.
Yes. So it's a private club of corporations and some politicians making laws.
As you do.
And I wonder if there is a private club of the rich and the powerful, I wonder who they are thinking about when they're making these laws.
Themselves.
And this is legal?
Apparently.
So Walmart was a member.
Yeah.
And I think recently, I think a lot of companies used to be members.
They've been dropping out of ALEC.
But Walmart still funds that organization. It still funds ALEC. So it passes all these bills that serves the corporations, and then we are surprised when politicians don't work for us. We are surprised when the police are protecting the powerful, not ordinary people, including Black people. I mean, yes, Black people are the ones who have been targeted in all of this because they're the easy targets historically.
Yeah.
When I say historically, I mean from the time of slavery.
Yeah.
Because when they were liberated, where would they go now? I mean, that was a question, right? Like, what would they do now? How would they to build the economy?
I'm sorry for how loud that was.
So, is everything okay?
I was just trying to move things, and then my microphone decided that it didn't want to be on the table anymore.
So yeah, but I mean, in America at least, Black people were the easy target because they were the ones who were kind of aimless in a way, right? Economically speaking. Like, oh, what do we do now? Now that we're not slaves anymore, what do we do? Like, do we cultivate farms for ourselves? Do we start companies? What do we do? Do we get jobs? You know?
And how do we do that?
Yeah. So they were, of course, they started from poverty. Black people in America started from poverty. So, and poor people are always the most vulnerable target.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they used the police to make them subservient, get them in jails again so that corporations can profit off of their labor, their free labor. Because they do. JCPenney, Victoria's Secret, all of them have some kind of manufacturing link to prison labor. They're all profiting off of it. And then not only that, they privatized prison. So now corporations are earning money at the expense of dehumanizing humans.
Yeah.
Because a prison was supposed to be a rehabilitation center, but it's not.
Supposed to be, but it's not.
It's a place of slavery, of torture, of dehumanization.
Yep.
Whoever gets in there.
Yeah, if we, let's just compare for a minute, right? Who has the best prison system right now? I think probably Sweden, because they have the best of everything.
I think it's Denmark.
Yeah, where their prison is actually a rehabilitation center. Every single person who has been convicted of a crime has their own mini apartment. they have to go to like therapy every single day. They have to get a job inside the facility, and they have to do community service. So it's like, and it's working.
The prisoners in Denmark have a better life than a lot of Mexicans in Mexico.
This is true, and that's sad.
And that's not a lie, you know that. I'm like not exaggerating it even a little bit.
No.
How many Mexicans can say, oh, you know, I have a nice 1 BHK apartment, you know, I go to therapy. Access to therapy, to mental health, mental health care is a fucking privilege in Mexico and in the US.
But it's not just because it's like expensive, because it can be. There is free mental health care here. It exists, but nobody knows or cares to know about it because, you know,
and how well funded are
psychiatrist is because you're crazy.
Yeah, and how well funded are these institutions where free care is provided?
It seems so. They're decently funded.
Yes, but then that's my point. It has to be well funded, because as even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently has been saying repeatedly, is that we need to defund the militarization of police. We need to defund the police. We need to defund all these aggressive institutions, not give tax cuts to the rich, and heavily fund social programs like free health care, free mental health care, access to potable water, electricity, internet. These are basic needs now. A house where you live safely. These are the basic needs to have a basic human experience.
And as a religious person, I would put on the table no more like tax breaks for religious institutions of any kind. That isn't illegal. I think it's an amendment that exists, or it's not even like, it's kind of a law, but not really.
I mean, as a church, I think in the United States, at least I know, you don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, but according to the Constitution, that's illegal.
Like in what way?
Church and state is supposed to be separate. So there's no reason why it's supposed to get tax breaks.
Yeah, but they interpreted it in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we are separate, but you don't tax us because we are a charity. That's what religious are.
Oh yeah, because
they're a charity. So that's how the interpretation.
Charity on the Facebook.
Yeah, we say in the name of Jesus, but this is a charity, y'all. Like that's their thing, you know, that they call it a charity and they get away with it. And have you seen these evangelists on TV?
No, I hate them so much.
Asking for money to fund their private jet.
Yes.
Like openly
doing this.
They're like, if you give me money for my private jet, then Jesus will bless you.
Yeah.
This is not a joke. This is
no, it's not a joke. And that is scary. That's just cult shit right there. That's what that is.
Okay, I want to read something from this book. Do you see it?
How the world works. It's blurry, but it's okay.
By Noam Chomsky.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the name on the top. If you can see it now.
Barely. I can barely see it, but that's fine.
I hated the blurry thing. I'm going to turn it off.
It's helpful, but also not.
No, it's not helpful anymore.
I am so white.
Choose background effect. Yeah, none, bitch.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, now see the book again. What happened? Again. Do you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. Noam Chomsky, How the World Works, right? So there is this chapter or a subchapter here called The War on Certain Drugs.
Oh my God.
So
Okay, let's go.
this is also in the documentary, by the way. So this is totally related. Okay, so this is in so before, right, in the Cold War, what the United States was doing was like, oh, Russia is evil and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's how they won elections, right? Russia is the evil guy. So when Russia, I mean, at the end of the Cold War, when Russia was not the evil guy anymore, so now the new evil guy was the drug traffickers from Latin America, right? So Noam Chomsky says, when Bush won the 1988 election, people said the budget deficit was the biggest problem facing the country. Only about 3% named drugs. After the media blitz, concern over the budget was way down, and drugs had soared to about 40 or 45% from just 3%, which is highly unusual for an open question where no specific answers are suggested. Now, when some client state complains that the US government isn't sending it enough money, they no longer say, we need it to stop the Russians. Rather, they say, we need it to stop drug trafficking. Like the Soviet threat, this enemy provides a good excuse for a US military presence where there is a rebel activity or other unrest. So that's basically it. So even the documentary says that I think it was Nixon who started the whole idea of law and order, you know, mass incarceration, tough on crime. And he looked at drug addiction and dependency not as mental health issues or social issues, but as bad, you know, like because they have to villainize something, right? How will you win elections if you don't have this other? Look at that guy. That guy is the bad one. I am going to protect you. Right? So that's how people win elections. So somebody has to be the villain. The same way Donald Trump won. Immigrants. Look at those dirty Mexicans, those rapists and murderers that are invading our country in a caravan, because of course that's how historically nations have invaded other nations. Very clever. So that's how it started. And when Reagan came into power, he destroyed all social programs because we have to save the deficit, right? Like what? Like people can take care of themselves, something like that, he said. So Reagan destroyed all social programs. So the poor people who got whatever support they could, you know, because their parents are not rich, right? And whose parents are not rich? Black people's parents are not rich. Immigrants' parents are not rich. So they had to build something of themselves through the help of their social programs, but they were all destroyed because of Reagan, thanks to Reagan. And then Reagan. The war on certain drugs, right? So there was a war on crack, but not cocaine.
Yeah, because you know it's expensive.
Because crack was mostly used by African Americans because it was cheaper. And cocaine was a more suburban issue. Who lived in the suburbs?
White people.
I mean, time and again. There was also a term called super predators.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
Which was like these young people, right? Young people of color, especially black people, who were like this, doing drugs and causing chaos, and they had to be controlled and incarcerated. Super predators. The biggest example of that being the Central Park jogger case. When this, I think, white girl was raped, and I think Donald Trump at that time said something like, "Oh, they should get the capital punishment for all this."
Yeah, they were like 3 or 4 teenagers, no?
Yeah, and after I think some 6-7 years, they were proved innocent, but their lives were taken away from them. Children, they were babies.
They were babies.
They were all under 18.
Yeah, the oldest was like 16, something like that.
6-7 years of their life taken away from them. And it kept on going. Then it was Bush Sr. Who won a campaign by dehumanizing Willie Horton. It was all on the news, like oh, this black man who raped a white woman and he was in prison. And uh, what was the name of the guy who was who, his opponent at that time was running? So he was soft on crime. He was like, yeah, I want. He had a more human approach to criminals. He was like, yeah, on weekends, I'm going to give them a pass so that they can go around and out into the world and see the world and stuff. So I don't know what that pass was about, right? Like what was the extent of their travel, or what was the extent of nobody knew that, right?
Yeah.
But he's this guy, Bush's opponent, is going to give free pass to murderers, but Bush is going to be, tough on crime. And he used really hard on this man who, I don't know, allegedly raped someone, and his face was there, and it was so eerily similar to the stereotype of the, the
The scary black man, yes.
exactly. So they played that again and again to win. Bill Clinton did the same thing. He came up with the Federal Crime Bill of 1994, and he made everything worse because he militarized the police. That was something that he did that his predecessors didn't. And it's, what's funny to me that also the documentary talks about is that how they talk about the black man, the beast, raping white women. But interracial rape was something that was started by white people.
Yeah.
They invaded the Americas, raped the indigenous women, black women constantly. Everybody knows that. We don't have to prove anything. And then they turn around and say, no, the black guy is the beast and raping our women. I'm just like,
we don't belong to you, for one.
How dumb are we? Or how dumb do you think we are? And they killed dissenters, black dissenters. Fred Hampton, head of the Black Panthers. The FBI did a shootout of his house. He was sleeping at 4:30 a.m. in the morning by his pregnant wife. They killed all of them. What did his pregnant wife do? There's no, like, the FBI did it, right? Then Asada Shakur, another black dissenter woman. Now she's living in Cuba because her life was also in danger. Angela Davis, her life was in danger. It's just so many leaders, like, of course, the famous names, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. All of them targeted by the police, FBI, because they dared to speak up, defending their humanity, asking to be treated as human beings. They didn't want anything else, just that they be treated as human beings. And that was too much for the system. That was too much for this white supremacist government that we have.
Yes. How will the system work without it? Like, I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate that this is how the system is. But I feel so defeated without starting because, like, what can we do about it, right?
Because what we've been doing riots too, right? For decades.
Yeah.
And we still come back to the same place.
Yeah. Like, they give us a little bit and they're like, yeah, that's enough. That's what you're gonna get. And we're like, but, and then they're like, no, that's what you're gonna get. And we're just like, okay, I guess. That's the way it always happens.
What do you think needs to be done? Like, let's not talk about what is possible, what is not possible, okay? I'm not talking about possibilities, because that's relative, right? What do you think is possible? I might think it's impossible. What I think is possible, you might think is impossible.
Yeah.
The possibilities are perspective. But What needs to be done? Just tell me
I mean,
one thing about
I've said
reset.
it several, like I've said it before, that to reset the system, you have to stop it completely, right? Like if the entirety of the United States go if everybody just doesn't go to work, they can't fire all of us.
I mean, they can, but
They can, but then who's going to work?
their entire systems will collapse, because that's what happened
Exactly.
when COVID-19 hit.
And that's what has to happen. In order for everything to get the hard reset, it has to collapse completely.
Yeah.
If we want the change to happen, if we want for everybody to be treated as human, if we want to all have good health care, for all to have all of the social programs back, you have to completely collapse the system and build it up all over again. But you can't let the politicians build it up. You have to the public has to build it.
We need to make a plan. Like, how do we envision the new society? I think without a plan, without a vision, it's not possible.
No, because everybody will be fighting for their own interests.
What do we
That's
do
the
now?
problem.
So I think we definitely need some sort of leadership, some sort of consensus where we envision this new society of equality, of abolishing what we need to abolish completely, and then what will be, or if it needs replacement or not, and if it needs replacement, what are we going to replace it with? How do we make it work for everyone? How do we eradicate discrimination, oppression? How do we distribute power? These are the questions we need to ask before we collapse anything, I think.
Yes.
My opinion.
I mean, if the discussions start when everything is in ruin, then you'll get to see what is actually important.
True.
Because it's like, if they're all upset at the economy, we don't have money. No one has money right now, okay? We're all starting at zero. So, money's not important, obviously. So what do we need as a nation, as human beings? What do we need? We need to take care of ourselves, take care of our families, take care of each other. So that means everyone needs food, everyone needs water, everyone needs shelter. So what needs to be done to get those three things at least for everyone? And then you add healthcare so that anyone who's sick can go and get seen. What is needed for that? And, you just start building.
I think, just adding on to that, like another, like, idea we need to move forward with, as I remember telling you this, I think in one of our podcasts, one of our videos, that it's wrong to make money off of someone else's suffering.
It is.
So that would include doctors, nurses, therapists. Who else?
Psychiatrists.
Yeah, healthcare specialists, right?
Healthcare specialists. I mean, the police.
The police.
The military.
So
politicians.
So that's why, this is exactly why we need, like, can't we just all agree what are the basic things we need to live, not survive, live well as a human being, and then we do other things, right? Once those needs are met. So why can't we make a mandate, like, you have to, like, once there is a human being, they must be cared for with shelter, clothes, food, medicine,
education,
basic things. And then after that, he makes a life of himself. He or she thinks, they think that, oh, I want to serve other people through medicine, or I want to serve other people by cleaning their apartments, or I want to serve other people by getting into politics
I
or
want to make them
art.
food. I want
Yeah,
to.
become a cook or something like that. Like, this is the way I want to give meaning to my life in this thing called society. Then they
Mm-hmm.
decided later. And I am 100% sure with my intuition, and it has been statistically proved many times that poverty gives rise to mental illness.
Yes, it's the stress of it all. Stress isn't good for us.
Yes. And so if you take that factor away, that suffering away from human beings, they will live happy lives. There will be happier families. There will be happier societies. There will be happier nations, and eventually a happier world.
Mm-hmm.
So we urgently need to do something about poverty. We urgently need to eradicate this classism that we have. I mean, my boyfriend and I always like have these, I wouldn't say arguments, but like we always kind of try to understand whether the change has to happen culturally or legally first. I mean, it has to be everything in every way. But I always say that no, the legality needs to happen first to affect culture. And we've seen that in the suffragette movement of women, when laws were passed to give women to give women rights, the culture started changing around. They're like, oh, okay, women, um, this is why. But he also has a good point. He's like, well, culturally, there needs to be a consensus that they are human beings to be able to make that legal change. So it's like, which came first, the egg or the hen,
Yeah.
kind of like that. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
That's a really tough one because thinking with the idea of how people work, I feel like a law would make it illegal to not treat someone as inhumane, right? And that will
Done
force.
that basic thing. Do we have a law in every country where it says it's if you treat anybody less than a human being, you go to jail?
How about you die? Like, it doesn't make it so severe that people are afraid of it,
Yeah. I'm having the strawberry.
The strawberry. Like, it's really difficult because if enough people believe a thing, it can or cannot become a law. And then if something becomes a law, there will be people who will fight it, but there will be more people who are like, this is just how it is, right?
Yeah, we need to make a law though. Like, you never know how, because you can see, like, people said, oh, 13th Amendment, you cannot make people slaves, except, like, you can do that shit. I wonder what if they didn't say except. It's like, no, you cannot make people slaves.
That's it.
I wonder how, I don't know if you would have been in this situation at all.
I don't know. I'm sure they would have found a way. I mean,
this chocolate cake.
it's good.
La la. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, get that all in your mouth. But yeah, it's something that it's a problem that's really hard to fix because people are always thinking of themselves. Like, if we could remove just people being so selfish and self-centered, if people could just think of other people besides
why that is? It's called alienation.
Yeah, basically.
And it's a result of an economic system called capitalism.
Your favorite enemy.
My favorite enemy? That's the only enemy.
I mean, there's
No, it's true.
aliens.
Like
There are
this is
enemies
something.
too.
I mean, I would recommend reading. Actually, you know what? I know you might not like reading. I'm going to recommend some videos by this amazing YouTuber called Philosophy Tube. The name of the YouTuber is Ollie Thornton. I think that's his stage name, but who cares? He's great. And I'm going to list his 3 videos on. It's like a crash course on Marxism, I would say. And if you watch those 3 videos, your ideas will be very clear about what alienation is, and how it's caused by capitalism. It's broken down very well, the whole concept, very easy to understand for absolute beginners in philosophy or sociology. So I'm going to recommend that, and I highly recommend. I mean, I highly recommend watching those videos. And if you want to, you can thank me later. So yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, basically.
What else is new?
I don't. That cake is really good.
That cake was really good.
That's what's new.
This beer is pretty good too. This is a classist thing that I do. This is the beer.
Also,
So I don't know, like I don't know if you know, but in Tijuana, like low class people drink tecates or something, and high class people drink ultras.
oh, because tecates are made here in Tijuana.
So exactly, but it's a class thing. It's like, oh, light beer, only 95 calories, bitch.
I have the poor person Starbucks.
You have the poor person Starbucks. De volada. It's not inexpensive though. It's pricey.
But not as expensive as Starbucks.
Okay, so
like this thing was 70 pesos, and it's freaking huge. And the one at Starbucks, I think, costs like 200, maybe, for the same size. I know there's a scary thing.
I got scared.
My goodness.
There is no good way to end this.
There isn't. Because it's a very somber, very depressing topic, because we start defeated.
Yeah.
There's no silver lining. The system is broken.
You know, sometimes I feel, who are we talking to?
Who are we talking to?
Are we preaching to the choir?
Probably. Let me see. Hold on. Let me check our demographics.
We probably are, because the social media would recommend leftist stuff, and the right wingers right wing stuff. So
yeah, at least we hope so. I don't know. Right now, social media's like their algorithms are all messed up right now. Let's see. According to Anchor, most of our viewership comes from Ireland.
What?
Yeah.
So Europe? Okay.
75% of our listener base is in Ireland on Spotify. And 89% of those are female.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. I was like, oh, cool.
Okay, so hello to everybody from Ireland.
Yes, hello everybody from Ireland. 65%, 25% from the US, 5% from India, and 5% from Germany.
Those 5% are my friends.
Hello, Shinjini's friends.
From India. Hello to everyone, because we do
Hello,
not
everyone. Thank you for listening. Please continue to do so, even though we sound quite sad in this episode. But what are we going to do about this?
Yes, because these are sad times.
These are very sad times.
So you're not alone being sad. We are sad with you.
We're all sad.
We are all sad. Let's be sad for a while, and then we're going to make a plan to oust the government and then make a new one. And oh, forgot, we also have to eat the rich,
Yes.
delicious rich barbecue.
Yes, remember, people, in order for me to reign as the benevolent but iron-fisted ruler of the world, we have to destroy everything.
Yes, we have to destroy everything.
And I will be sure to provide everyone with all of their needs. That's all.
Yes.
that is my promise to my subjects. You will get all of your needs filled.
Yes, all human needs will be met.
If you want to work, you can work. If you don't got to.
So that was our review of the documentary 13th.
The documentary is really good. It's really thought-provoking. It made me angry. It made my husband angry. He doesn't like being angry, so he did not like it. But he sat through half of it, and then he had to leave. And then I watched the rest of it.
I had to pause it.
Yeah, I had to pause it a couple of times and just kind of sit there and play on my phone.
Yeah, because it's overwhelming emotionally, like especially for people like you and
like if
me.
I thought that I might have been one of the people who would have ended up crying through the movie, but I was just so, like, what's the word? Not like I didn't have enough emotion left.
There were so many, right?
There were so many. I was mostly frustrated through the whole thing, but that did not lead to tears. It led to the feeling of defeat.
Yep.
Like, it ended, and I was like, okay, now what?
We don't know.
Now where do we go from here?
I mean, we know, but we don't know if it's gonna happen.
Like, I have this knowledge now. Thank you, I guess. I have this burden to bear. And I couldn't even find people discussing it on Facebook. So that
people are discussing it on Twitter, though. I didn't check.
Yeah, I think people might be. Right now, I don't know what's going on with Twitter. Like, I have had to not look at Twitter for the past 2 days. I can't.
Oh my God, yes.
I cannot. I can't. There's just so much bullshit right now. So much bullshit. Too much bullshit.
And it's all on your face, right? Like, that's how it feels.
It's all in your face. And I'm just sitting here like, let people grow and change, my God. Right? Like, that's all that's happening to so many people right now. They're just being attacked for who they were back in the day. Who we all were back in early 2010. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember all of the horrible things. Louis C.K. was so popular for his disgusting stuff. Carlos Mencia was one of the most popular comedians, and there was another dude who did the exact same kind of comedy whose name I don't remember right now. There was, like, Jackass was in movie theaters. It was a weird time, and we all don't like that shit anymore, but we know it happened. And we know what an actual dark internet looks like. Like, I remember snuff films on the open internet. I remember.
Never watched it.
I did. I remember this horrible shit that was so easy to access. So easy to find. You didn't have to dig for it. I remember the dark days of the internet. And there are so many people who are alive today who do not know that. And people aren't talking about it. They're forgetting that history. that part of our cultural history. It exists. It's a thing. We all were so fascinated by having such easy access to these horrible things. And so many of us got so desensitized to it. And now we see it and we're like, well, I've seen worse. Like, it's bad. Yeah, obviously, I know that, but I'm not grossed out by it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to be grossed out? Is that going to help you feel better about it? Like, I'm too internet old for this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to feel your disgust to a tweet from 2011. I was tweeting that shit because it was funny back then. It was funny. And we can't just erase that was the shit that
Yeah, I mean, if we see that it was something that we did out of ignorance, we can always correct ourselves. We can
Yeah, you're like, I don't think like this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand what is so wrong about saying, I didn't know better, and I did that, but I don't do it anymore.
I don't think that way anymore.
What's wrong with that? People are constantly growing and changing and becoming better people.
Yeah, and like, stop bringing it up. Like, how many times?
Still do that? People still bring up old shit?
Yeah, how many times do you have to say, yes, I did that? Have you seen me do it now? It's like, yes, I watched a video of a homeless man being killed with a screwdriver and a hammer. Will I look for these videos now? Of course not. That was awful. That's burned in my brain forever. That's never, the sound of it is never going to leave my brain. And I know that's wrong, but I saw it. What am I going to do about it now? like, do you want me, if I could erase it, I would, but then I would lose that part of me that knows exactly how wrong it is, right? Like, the part of me that was just shocked to the point of not being able to actually express how bad this was. But I'm older now, so I have the words for it. I would lose so much. Just like all of us. If we forget the edgy, emo, idiotic, ignorant people that we were, there's no way we could possibly sympathize with people who just don't know. Like, you just don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you what I know and how I learned it. You can't just expect people to know. And then you have all the people who are like, I don't want you to ask me questions that you can easily Google. And you're like, they don't know what to Google.
Yeah, people are really hard on the internet.
They're hard. Like, it's not that difficult to give information. It's the least you can do for someone who's ignorant. It's the least you could do.
I mean, of course, it depends. Like, it depends on the context a little bit, because I've seen like trolls will like intentionally bother activists or dissenters just to get a
Yeah, but you can tell the
reaction out of
difference.
them.
Like, there's a
Exactly. So it really depends on the context. Like, if somebody is ignorant, they don't know something, they made a mistake, whatever, and they're asking like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Can you tell me?
Explain this
Google
to me?"
it, bitch." It's like,
yeah, like that's not
that
helpful.
attitude.
Like, that's just making their original idea more solidified because you're being
Yeah. Like, let me give you an example, right? So let's say that I am cooking, right?
Yeah.
And I'm cooking wrong, and you see that you're a good cook.
Yeah.
You see that, and you're like, "No, not like that. That's not how you cook."
It's
Can
like,
you tell me how?
you're burning
Google
the right.
it, bitch. It's like, I'm cooking right now. You are right in front of me. Just tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Just
Why would you
lower
say
the
Google
flame?
it, bitch?
Put in more water. I don't know.
Yeah, just say, yeah. I mean, yeah, you forgot to put salt, right?
Yeah.
One sentence. I'm like, no, Google it, bitch. It's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to Google. You're the one who called me out. And then
You're
you're
telling me it's
not going to
wrong.
even help me.
All right, so
You end.
the end. So that comes to the end of this week's episode. We hope we gave you at least a couple of things that you could talk about. If not with yourself, then with like your friends, your family. You know, bring these things up with your friends and family because these are important. These are important things that we need to be talking about.
We would
So,
also like to know what you thought about the documentary if you watched it, or when you watch it, please do let us know what you thought about it and what what visions come to mind, what changes come to mind. How do you envision, a beautiful world, a world without discrimination and oppression? So yeah, leave us your comments down below. If you like what we talk about, definitely do subscribe to our channel. Not only on YouTube, but we are also on Google Podcasts. We are on Spotify. Basically, anywhere you get podcasts, because we're on Anchor too. Also, follow us on Instagram, Star Stories and Life. If you want us to give us some suggestions, you can also send us emails at starstoriesandlife@gmail.com, or just drop in a comment anywhere on our social media.
yeah, we'll be sure to at least give it a read.
Yes.
Yes. So that brings us to a complete end, and I think that
We'll be back
yes,
with the astrology and tarot forecast for the upcoming week. So, tune in for that. And also, there will be another topic, either current affairs, pop culture, or something weird, which is our favorite weird.
weird is
That
our favorite.
So, yeah, we will keep you posted.
Exactly. So, as we say every single week, I'm a part of you.
And you're a part of me.
And we'll see everyone next time.
Bye.
Wear a mask.
You've been like that everywhere on Instagram.
Oh, it's just driving me crazy.